Welcome back to the Tavern, friends. Before you recruit some new minions for the battle, let me welcome you to episode number 22 of Tavern Tales, a Hearthstone Battlegrounds podcast. I am your host, Humbly Drunk, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at the recent balance patch that just hit live servers this week, which brought a slew of new changes. We have a new hero, we have returning heroes, some of which have been reworked in regards to an actual character design. We also have a new minion changes to the overall tribe rotation, and a few other things here and there. So before we get into the news and introduce you to my co-host, let me just quickly take a moment to thank everyone who's been joining us for our live shows on Twitch, and thank all of our repeat listeners out there. So joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, editor and Ed. We had the Hearthstone expansion announcement. We are heading to the Academy of Skolo. Really bringing back some, classic World of Warcraft vibes on that front. And of course, with that, we did get a new patch. And what an interesting week in Battlegrounds it has been. It's
Yeah.
actually been a very positive week. I
Yes.
know I've kind of had to dig my way back to where I was, but I'm back at where my highest peak was on my main account at 6511. But I know you've been putting in a ton of work, just making that climb up. And we were doing a couple of games yesterday where you were on your primary account, I was on one of my alt accounts, which was around 4,500 at the time. And while my nights definitely weren't that good in that regard, at least it helped alleviate, you know, you not getting eighth place. So I did my
Yes.
part.
Yes. It was a good week. I finally crossed over the 6K uh, uh, part, thanks in large part to just forcing Murlocs. Uh, it's sad to say, but we're back at that point in the Battlegrounds meta. Are Murlocs available? Force them. Because yeah, right now that is the meta. But yeah, no, I was slowly. I've been playing a lot of games. God, a month ago I probably had hit my lowest in a long time at 4,800 or
hmm
4,900, and so climbed my way back up to above 6K. So I'm at 6089 right now. So didn't have a chance to play any matches today. Also didn't want to play any matches today because I didn't want to lose and then fall below
You don't
6K
let's
in time
not
for the
let's not
show.
risk it, and then just come onto the podcast very disgruntled should you have lost it.
Right. Um. So yeah, it's a new favorite hero. Um. So yeah, it's definitely been going good. Man, my Ev is so strong.
mm-hmm.
Like, just ridiculously strong, and it's because Murlocs are so strong right now. And my Ev is one of those that you can easily force Murlocs with.
I mean, that's
Um,
assuming they are actually in the rotation, because it's
if they're
funny.
in the rotation.
It's funny because you and I have kind of had polarizing, uh, differences when it comes to what minions we've actually been seeing or what tribes we've been seeing in the pool here. Because that first day that I was playing post patch, uh, uh, 75% of the games I was playing. Now, granted, it was a small sample size, but the vast majority of the games that I was in did not have Murlocs available in the pool. But it seemed like you kept getting them in every single lobby.
Yep.
And, for the most part, they've probably been, if I add up all of the games, they've been the most common one being taken out of my lobbies. But for you, that has definitely not been the same case.
Yeah, no, it's basically been all Murlocs all the time. I love when Murlocs aren't in there because then you actually can play around the best cards you actually get.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had one of those matches the first time I got Tess. Um, and oh god, it was ridiculous. Like there was no Murlocs in the game, and I was able to get a Macaw build at level 4, a full Macaw build when I was at level 4.
Okay.
So what happened is I went up against somebody who had um, a gold ring and a Baron. So I just, you know, their last warband I hero powered. All right, I'm at level 4. I already had 2 Hydras. So I'm like, and I had a taunted Sourlisk. So I'm just like, all right, well, I'm gonna take the Rivendare. I already had a Macaw. I'm like, I'll take the Rivendare. I'll take the Goldrin, and we'll just go from there. And I ended up taking second in that one, uh, because of Murlocs. Um, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, this, this yeah, there's a lot to go over in this patch. There's a lot of things changed.
Yeah, and you can definitely start to see it when you start to break down some of the hero stats, which at this point we are like just shy of 900,000 games in regards to HS replay. And some of the changes that we have seen have shifted some of these characters from being near the top, like Hook Tusk, who is now down in tier 4. But going back to one of the games I had earlier, I actually had a Maiev game today, that I was kind of like talking you through, and it was the demon game that I had. So I had an early triple Wrathweaver, and I was just like playing the demons as they were coming along, and throughout the entirety of that game, I just did not find a soul juggler. So there were a lot of situations where I was entering a combat phase. I would look at, the the buddy app and see like, oh, I have a 60% shot at winning this round and like a 10 or whatever percent to tie it. So like a 70% shot of not losing. And because I didn't have those juggles, a lot of those rounds I was actually losing, which I would have otherwise won had I had a soul juggler. So, this whole time I'm thinking, great, I'm either tying or barely losing by very minimal, remaining health. And, I just kept thinking, the longer this happens, the more it's going to screw me over in the long run. But, thankfully, I managed once I, was at Tavern 3, when I tripled my Imprisoner. I got a Gold Grubber for that triple. When I got to 4, I found a couple of more Gold Grubbers, and that was enough to help me stabilize to the point where, by the end of the game, I basically had 4 Goldens. The Gold Grubber had gotten up to 70-70. My Wrathweaver was in 80-80. And, I had a couple of, like, odds and ends here and there that were on the higher end. So, I had the Dreadlord, I had uh, the Battlemaster. So I had a ton of taunts on the board, but, just having that additive health towards the end and finding Amalgamus at the right time when I was down to, like, 12 or 13 health, where I was risking, one loss essentially knocking me out of the game. Everything just kind of fell into place, and it was enough to help me stabilize in the long run. So I didn't actually need, the Soul Juggler, but at least everything else kind of fell into my lap at the right time, and it resulted in a first place lobby win to get me back to my high MMR, back to 6511, which was basically like the peak I was at almost like a month ago at this point, looking at the MMR over time. It was 26 days ago when I hit that MMR point. So, I've definitely had a couple of swings the opposite way. But, there was like 3 or 4 days there where I wasn't really gaining a whole lot of ground, but I wasn't necessarily, losing that ground either. So, a little strain of good luck, and I'm back to where I was, and we'll see whether or not I could get above that average placement of 4, because I've been hovering around that point for quite some time now, But I just need, a couple of more wins to help push me past that point here.
Yeah, one thing I've kind of started to get on board is the gold grubber train. All my Murloc builds, I tend to have a gold grubber in there. Just because you tend to have a lot of goldens
Mm-hmm.
in Murlocs. So, like, I think at one point I had a 140, 140, or 142, 142 gold grubber. And that was just ridiculous at that point. Like, I think that was it might have been my last match of the night when we played
It,
together.
it was last night.
And I was just like, yeah, no, I'm just not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing for me to do. Um, no, the last match of the night, that guy only got to 56, 56. It was the second to last match.
Okay.
So yeah, I basically had identical builds back to back with Bran, Murlocs, and Gold Grubber.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Gold Grubber is definitely, if you can get that early enough. I mean, it's not that good late. Like, it's not something to pick up when you're like turn 5, maybe considering going to 6. I think at that point it's a bit too late for you to do it. But yeah, it's nice.
All right, so let's dive into this new patch that was deployed onto the live servers this week with patch 17.6, because there is a lot of stuff that we need to cover. Some very intriguing changes to some returning heroes, which have been to middling success at best, to be honest. But we do have a new hero that you had aforementioned earlier in the episode, that being Tess Greymane, who has the hero power Bob's Burgles. Uh, I'm pretty sure they're just playing off of Bob's Burgers, but that just looks that way. But it costs 1. You get to refresh Bob's Tavern with minions from your last opponent's warband. So think of it as a Murazond hero power. So it does not matter what tavern tier you are at. It is entirely based off of what your opponent had on the board that prior turn. So
Yep.
the fact that there's no restrictions in that regard can definitely make things pretty spicy. Now that being said, Ed, I only had one game with Tess. Your game definitely was a lot better than mine. But looking at this hero power, there are two ways to look at it. Early game, it's good in the sense that the opportunities for you to land early triples is actually pretty significant. And then towards the later end of the game, when people are starting to get to, Tavern 5, when a lot of those key minions start to open up, like your Baron, like your Bran, it's a really good opportunity for you to get, like, those vital, minions, as opposed to trying to consecutively roll for them outright in hopes that you're going to land it. Like, the probability is going to be a lot better based off of the hero power than it would be for you to just outright roll. So I definitely see in that case, it's not the absolute best hero power in the late game, but it can definitely help you transition to an actual build if you are kind of stuck in between things.
I almost disagree with you about the late game. I actually want to say this is not that strong mid game. It's good early game, but I think it shines the best late game. Because, all right, for instance, let's say your Murlocs, you go up against other Murlocs. Happens all the time. Well,
In your
you're
games.
in my games, but like, let's say you have like 2 out of the 4 warbands, 2 of the 4 remaining players have the same warband, and you're in Tusk. Well, what if I want that brand? If I can triple that brand off of them, or I can get like a board full of Murlocs to buff my board with, guaranteed for one gold. Like, I think it's super strong late game, and
I guess in my case, it would all depend on the number of duplicates you would have between what you currently have in hand and what your opponent had.
you could get key cards too, like
Mhm.
Amalgadons. Amalgadon is a very key. We'll talk about that shortly. But a very key card. The brands, the barons, the any level 6 minion. Let's say you're running dragons, but you haven't gotten a Kael'thas yet. Well, you
Well,
go up against
Calicos.
somebody. Yeah, Caligos. Uh, and you go up against them, and you get a Caligos off of it. Like, I think it's an amazing late game, but you have to make it to the late game.
Yes, and a lot of people are struggling with it right now with Tess because her average right now in regards to the placement is at 4.92, which is currently fifth from the bottom overall. But looking at when people are actually using hero power, it's really like 50-50 after like turn 6 throughout the rest of the game. So that's basically when players are getting to Tavern 3 is when it really starts to accelerate. Uh,
Yeah, I get that. It's just I think Tess is just way more powerful than her ranking right now. And I think, and you're going to be hearing this a lot from me, is I think Murlocs are holding a lot of heroes down. And this could be one of those where if Murlocs weren't so dominating when they're in the game, you might see a rise in Tess over someone else that, you know, like Dino Tamer Brand, amazing with Murlocs. Well, if Murlocs weren't that powerful, Dino Tamer Brand and Tess would probably switch positions. Uh, so it's definitely gonna be something. I'm not saying Tess is gonna be a top tier, but I think tier upper tier 3 is not out of the question.
okay. So, we do have a couple of heroes that have returned to the hero pool. The first one being King Mukla. So they tweaked his hero power, which is Bananarama, which has a cost of 1. And hero power gets gives you 2 bananas, and then at the end of your turn, you give everyone else 1 banana. Okay, so, you and I have been talking about this particular hero quite a bit. So, for those that haven't played Mukla or don't remember how the hero power works, is like the banana is essentially a free buff. It acts as like a spell. You play it for 0 gold, and then you get to give one of your minions +1/+1. So basically, not every turn, obviously, because it costs 1 to actually use the hero power. But you basically get +2/+2, and you can throw it wherever on your board. Now, the thing about this is the fact that you give everyone else in the lobby a banana. So everyone, every turn, gets +1/+1. And, I feel so conflicted with this. I haven't had a chance to play it. I also haven't seen King Mukla in any of my lobbies as of yet, so I haven't gotten to see how beneficial the banana each turn is for the lobby in itself. But to me, on paper, just looking at it, to really make it more effective, you would have to make it where, at the end of the turn, you just give a banana to the opponent that you had just played, as opposed to literally everyone else. So you're only giving a banana to one person, as opposed to, you know, the 7 or however many are left within that given lobby. It's just, you get a little bit of benefit, but at the cost of helping everyone else, and it doesn't really seem all of that enticing.
It's a shit hero power. I mean, it's horrible. It's a bad hero power. You are all right. Your hero power buffs you that turn, but it buffs the entire lobby the next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a bad hero power. why would you ever want to use a hero power that buffs the entire board? Like, oh, I'm gonna use my hero power to make my opponent stronger. Hard pass on that. And you see it. It's the first time I've really ever seen this on a brand new released, like reworked new character that is not getting picked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he's only getting picked 26% of the time he's available, which may seem like a lot, but you know, let's look at I don't know, the other two heroes that were with this test. 63%. Dino Tamer Brand 63%.
Oh damn.
Like, and you scroll down and Mukla's like, I'm 26. Okay, yeah, no, you're real bad. Like, your hero power is so bad, you're brand new, and people still don't want to try you. So yeah, you're bad. You're just you're like you're getting picked the same amount of times as AFK. So yeah, don't ever pick it. I've played with Mukla in my lobby like 3 or 4 times now.
Mhm.
It's one of those I will never pick the hero power. It's like Galakron. I'm never gonna pick Galakron because Galakron is legit the worst hero in the game.
And still is.
Still is, but I'm never gonna touch it
Until they change it.
until they change it. And this is the 3rd change for Mukla. I believe it's a 3rd.
You know, it's been so long since we've seen Mukla, I honestly can't remember.
I think this is the 3rd iteration of Mukla we've gotten. So I want to say like we got it, and they changed Mukla, but then they took him out of the game like 2 weeks later.
Okay.
Like it was one of those situations. But yeah, the only way this works, in my mind, is if you get a early Deflecto bot, and you go mechs, and then you just keep buffing that Deflecto bot. Or I guess
Bronze Warden, I guess, would be the other
Warden
one.
would be another one. But I think Deflecto bot would be your bread and butter, because then you can start getting other mechs with divine shields and doing with them like security rovers. I mean, full reapers, an obvious one. Mechano egg, but even then, that's not that good.
Right.
So, you know, sometimes we just need crap heroes, and you know, they definitely hit the crap heroes out of the park on this patch.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you always want to see when the heroes come back, better performances. Unfortunately, that is not the case on either front in this case, because the other
Well,
new
all right,
okay,
I will say this: they did better performances
with the
doesn't mean
pirates.
always, yeah, it doesn't always mean stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It means more balanced. Like right now, what was his name? The one that buffs the no warband minions.
Tyrion.
Tyrion right now would be an absolute joke broken. So like, they would need to nerf the hell out of him
Mm-hmm.
to be able to bring him back.
I mean, Bran at one point was also the same way. Not so much anymore because they actually brought him back with a different kind of, not necessarily gimmick, but a different character as a whole. Because now he's a Dino Tamer. So his new hero power is a Battle Brand, which has a cost of 1, and it refreshes Bob's Tavern with Battle Cry minions. Now, in the past, it was basically like when you play a Battle Cry, you buff a random minion +1/+1, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it offhand, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. So this is a little bit different. I haven't really been seeing a ton of Dino Tamers in my lobbies as of yet either. But, you know, it's definitely interesting where, you know, your initial thought is, well, maybe this would enable a crowd favorite type of build. But then again, like that's a neutral, and sure, you could get some stats on it, but it's not as additive as some of the other like key pieces out there that revolve around battle cries. You can't really buff it outside of anything beyond that. So it's just like you're limited to the scaling that you could actually do as opposed to some other integral potential builds. But like that's never been like a go-to thing in regards to the battle cry compositions. So your second thought is, okay, well, really good with like Calicos builds. Yeah, that's true, but it's not like you're guaranteed when you do use your hero power to, oh yeah, we're gonna get some key cards for that. But it at least helps with the scaling aspect. I think with Murlocs is probably gonna see the most benefit to it,
Yep.
just because they do have the not necessarily the majority of the battle cries within the game, but in regards to like key cards for your war bands, it's definitely on the higher scale compared to the rest of the tribes within the game. So it's a very interesting change. It's definitely not had the same effect in regards to the hero impact, where Bran was the last time we had seen him, which granted was quite a while ago at this point in time. But this is another hero that has kind of not really impressed so far in regards to the performance. But have you had an opportunity to actually test out Bran as of yet, or seen him in your
Yes.
lobbies? Because I've
Both.
had like one game where I've seen him, and then that is it.
So I have played Bran in. I've played Bran and I've had Bran in my lobby a few times. Uh, Obviously, the Caligos build is a good build
Mhm.
if you can get to it. But the strongest right now, and it's because they're so powerful, is Murlocs, because you're going to stay on tier 3 a little bit longer than you normally would stay on tier 3. Maybe just 1 or 2 turns extra, just because tier 3 Murlocs have a lot of good battle cries that are key buffs for Murlocs. You're talking like Cold Light Seer and God, what is the other one?
What, at
Felfin
3? Felfin.
Navigator. Yeah,
Mhm.
Felfin Navigator. So yeah, you really just you want to do that, get to 4, and then go immediately to 5. Because then at 5, that's when you can get like you can spin and get the gurgles and the almighty, super powerful, but people are looking down on it. Primal Fin Lookout now. Primal Fin got a pretty nasty buff that we'll talk about. I'll talk about with one of the cards that got brought in. But you get those, and those are very key cards to, you know, constantly try and triple gold to get tier 6, so you can get the Megasaur or the Amelgadon.
Mhm.
Um, and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's the odd numbers that really really work out best for Murlocs. So you want to get from 1 to 3 really quick, 3 to 5 really quick, but you can stay on those levels, and that's what Brand, because Murlocs are built on battle cries.
Right.
That's how they get everything. That's why Bran is so good with Bran Bronzebeard, not Bran the hero. Well, Bran the hero is good with him, but Bran Bronzebeard is a key element of a Murloc build, is because Murlocs have so many battle cries. Uh, so yeah, it would do that. Now, if Murlocs are not there, then yeah, you probably would want to lean more towards a dragon composition or some sort of weird menagerie
Mhm.
build. Because a lot of battle cries that are not like Murloc specific tend to be buff cards for menagerie builds. So yeah, there's a lot you can do with it, but I 100% see Dino Tamer Brand sticking around the high tier 3 level, maybe low tier 2 level at some point. He's not phenomenal, but he's not a bad pick. I'd probably put him somewhere close to like Toki,
Okay.
somewhere around there in power level. Toki, Curator, like right there. is where I'd put him. Not like insta pick, but like, you know what? I'm happy if this is my other options are Illidan, Wig Toggle, and Lich King. So, and he's got the coolest animation for a hero power. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
I have not.
So when you use his hero power, he cracks a whip on the board, and then that's when they refresh with battle cries. So it has like a whip animation on the board. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
I'm easily amused.
All right, so outside of that, we also have a couple of changes to heroes that were already in the hero pool. So we saw some changes to Arana Starseeker. So looking at the hero power, they made the change. And the hero power, is passive, that being the Demon Hunter training. So now, after you refresh 5 times, Bob will always have 7 minions to offer in the Tavern, which, prior, it was at 7 refreshes. Now, I was looking at the stats earlier. I was like, okay, how drastic of an improvement has this been since the last patch? And honestly, like, her number is a little bit better. Arana did not climb at all in regards to the overall tier list, which I thought was pretty interesting. So, I can't tell if that's just the fact that people just aren't finding the cards that they're looking for, or if it's just a case that this hero power as a whole is just underwhelming compared to a vast majority of them. You could factor in a lot of the hero powers that are very strong early game, and there are quite a few heroes that have that, and Arana doesn't really fall in line with that. But, regardless of how many refreshes it takes, and, how many options you have available to purchase via the Tavern, it doesn't erase the RNG aspect of the rerolls that you have. So, I can definitely see situations where, this is going to be, you're either going to find what you need or you're not. Like, there's no middle ground. You're either going to be rolling forever or you're going to find what you need. Like, it seems like there's not going to be a middle ground in this case. But, unfortunately, to this date, I still haven't gotten Arana as one of my options in any of my games. So I haven't really had an opportunity to play her as of yet to really gauge where she is as a hero. But for the most part, the Aranas that I have seen since the patch have typically been falling in that 6 to 8 range in the lobbies. So it's not like, we've been overly impressed by the performances that we have been seeing. And, even if they're getting knocked out kind of early, they would already be at the point where they would unlock the full options out of Bob's Tavern at that point.
Yeah. I've never played Arana, and I have had her given to me as an option multiple times. She's just so bad. And again, it probably has a little bit to do with the meta that we're in now. If the old Sour List build was still a thing, like with the Sour List at 1 and whatnot, I actually think she would be a lot stronger. But like Arana is almost kind of built around staying at lower levels longer, because that's where you get the most benefits. Because once you get up to tier 5, you're basically getting like one less card. That's not that big of a massive deal. But at tier 3, it is a big deal. So, and being so low, like, there's a reason the bottom 4 heroes, the best builds, are token demons, is because they rely solely on jugglers, getting them at tier 3 and carrying them into the mid game so they can get a top 4 and then do nothing after that. So yeah, it's still not good, but I don't think it's bad. And the fact that I think with the right meta and card changes, it could jump up a little, but right now it's just not playable because you don't want to stay that low for that long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other interesting thing in that case is just looking at the pick rate differential, even when you compare her to the other heroes that are nearby her at the bottom, where, you're looking at it and, like, Bazial is one of the lowest picked at 5.2%, Lich King at 6.6, Galakron is picked more than those two at 10.1, but Arana is currently at 37.9%, so she's 3 times as picked as Galakron, who is just behind her overall in regards to the average placement. So it's not like she isn't a more popular pick in the long run. And, I can't tell if that's just based off of the fact that it still is a semi-new hero and people are still trying to figure out how to play her. Or if everyone just knows how bad the Liches are, kind of like as a whole at this point, where they're just shying away just outright completely.
Yeah. Who really knows what goes through people's heads, but I think people picked it a lot. Like, again, this is only on 2 days worth of stats. I think a lot of people, the reason the pick rate's so high up is, well, because people want to see if she's actually good or not now.
Right.
And they're realizing real quick that she's not. So I imagine that will go down quite a bit. Because before this week, she was the new hero, so... And she didn't come out that long ago, like 2-3 weeks ago? So, we'll see.
Let's talk about the big change, though, in regards to heroes. So that is Captain Hook Tusk. The captain who had been making it happen, the one who was holding down that top spot. Not any longer. Eudora is now #1. Digging away. I mean, literally burying the grave of Hook Tusk. I mean, let's put it that way.
Hook Tusk is just dead.
Yeah, so Transfer Treasure has been changed. It still has a cost of 0. So now, instead of having a discovery, when you remove a friendly minion, you now get a random minion from a Tavern tier lower. Not, okay, you can pick between one of the 3 options of, the Tavern tier lower. So, you're not automatically just gonna be like, oh, there's a token. And then get that early advantage on the board. You're not going to find as many early triples because of it as well. And oh, how the mighty have fallen, Ed, because, for a while, Hook Tusk was really uncontested. Eudora was like a step behind Hook Tusk. Not necessarily like keeping pace, but not too far behind. But now when you look at it, based off of, the 900,000 games that we have had, Hook Tusk is down along with the likes of Bartendotron, Shutterwalk, King Mukla. So currently kind of like in the middle, like upper mid of tier 4 at this given point in time. And, holy RNG fest, Batman. That's really all you can say about the new hero power, because it's completely out of your control at this point in time, and I think it was needed. Everyone saw, even if you didn't really know how to play the hero, which was definitely me the first time I played Hook Tusk, I was like, okay, what do I do? Alright, I'm gonna play this how I think I'm supposed to play it, even though I could tell I was misplaying at key parts, and I was still just rushing everyone. Now it's no longer a must-pick situation. And, it basically just guarantees Eudora now being the auto-pick
Yes.
10 times out of 10.
Yes. Like, I don't know why they had to do Hook Tusk that dirty. I mean, I honestly thought what they were going to do is change the hero power to cost 1.
Okay.
And I think that would have gotten rid of a lot of the early game tomfoolery.
Right.
Charging 1 to do this thing. But by doing this, how is Captain Hook Tusk any better than Galacrond. Like, all right,
Well,
yes, Hook Tusk costs 0, but you're getting a worse minion because you're going down a tier. And you have to play that minion.
mm-hmm.
Okay? Like, otherwise your board just gets weaker. Galacron, you use 1 gold to get a minion 1 higher. So it's a matter of what do you prefer? 1 gold to get a higher minion, or no gold to get a lower minion?
Well, okay, so there's a key difference between the two in the way that people are actually using the hero
Yeah,
power.
I get that.
Because
Yeah.
with Galacron, the more common thing is to just stick to one particular minion and then repeatedly zap it with the hero power. Whereas with Hook Tusk, you're primarily especially early on, uh, basically just using your hero power, looking for those additional tokens to ensure that you have that extra pattern for your economy, and moving forward, you could aggressively level up or do anything like that. But I think you definitely have a point. I don't think it's quite that severe in my mind.
It's not as severe, but like that was kind of like the point I'm trying to get across is like they kind of they made it fairly similar.
Mm-hmm.
Like it to me there's like 3 cards that have this kind of same genre of power, and that's Galacrond, Hook Tusk, and Toki. Their hero power all gives you new cards, either 1 tier up or down below. Hook
Right.
Tusk is the only one that goes down below. The only reason Toki's so much better than Galacrond is, one, it refreshes the board as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but you can't like speed up 1 and get to tier 6 uh, that quickly. But yeah, it's just I don't get it. Like I think Hook Tusk will actually fall more in a week because less and less people are going to be playing it. Because like one, I don't think a lot of people may not realize there's people like us who follow this stuff,
Right.
but a lot of people aren't like carefully reading patch notes and stuff like that. So they go in, they're like, "Oh, sweet, I got Hook Tusk," and then it's like, "Oh, what is going on here?" And then that's when they realize that Hook Tusk got nerfed to the ground. I think they should have done it to 1. There's another change I wish they would have made that I think could have also nerfed Hook Tusk
Okay.
without actually having to change Hook Tusk. Is I think they need to do something about tokens.
In regards to like removing them
Everything.
from the
No,
discovery
I
or
don't.
removing the damage that they cause should they be popped.
I am not talking about removing tokens. I am talking about implementing something kind of special, where the tokens cannot be sold for gold.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So you're talking more like the Tabby Cat and
Tabby
the
Cat
Scout.
and the Tide Hunter. And like you get those turn 1, turn 5, you get 2 minions and you're automatically ahead because you happen to get that on turn 1.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so much can be abused with it.
Right.
So I think they should have done that. They would also have to do the tokens cannot be um, destroyed, like destroyed by hero powers. So like Hook Tusk can't destroy a token. Like it would, and by doing this, they just make it 0 cost.
Mm-hmm.
Like make it 0 cost. So then if you use Hook Tusk's ability on it, you get a 0 cost. All you're gonna get is that Murloc Scout again. So it makes it useless to get rid of it. You still get the advantage of having 2 cards, but you can't abuse it by selling it for gold or using Hook Tusk hero power to basically get up to 3 minions on the board turn 1. So I don't know. That's what I think they should have done, or that would have been nice for them to do. But they took it too far with Tusk. That's sad.
Yeah, so outside of that, other changes that we saw with this patch was a change to the tribe pool, in the case that, at this point, pirates are no longer guaranteed to always appear in the lobby. So we actually have our steady rotation now, so, you'll have games where you don't see Murlocs, next game, maybe you don't have Beasts or whatever. Or, in our case, it's just going to be opposite. You'll have Murlocs in, like, 90% of your games. I won't have Murlocs in, like, 90% of my games. I think the most common trend
God,
that
I
I've
wish
seen has been, for me at least, like, the Beasts have been the primary theme getting picked out of their rotation.
demons for me.
And, honestly, with the Goldrin change, a lot of people are struggling with the beast builds at this given point in time, so I don't really feel like I'm necessarily missing all of that much.
Mm-hmm.
But, we do have some minion changes. So, as I mentioned, Goldrin saw a change with this patch. So, Goldrin the Great Wolf moved from Tavern Tier 5 up to Tavern Tier 6, which definitely makes it fairly hard to get, that Death Rattle Macaw build rolling at this given point in time. Will it be the death knell of Beast as a whole? I don't think so, but it definitely takes it longer to get going because of this in particular. So I'm curious to see whether or not this is going to mean that, people are going to be focusing more on building up their cave hydras and then transitioning from that point, or if they're just going to still just try to rush to 6 and either build around, Gold Trend or look for that Mama Bear.
Yeah.
Because you don't really
I
get to see both.
No, I actually thought I'm fine with Goldrin moving to 6. I think it was definitely a ridiculous, an overpowered tier 5 card,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. I actually would have liked to see them take Mama Bear and move it down to tier 5, but only give +4/+4
Okay.
instead of plus. Because the thing is a Mama Bear is not like so many times you don't care about a Mama Bear. Like if you're at tier 5 and you're going for tier 6 and you get a Mama Bear, either A, your board is pretty much full of beasts already that Mama Bear's does nothing, because tokens like uh the wolf and the
The Rat Pack.
rat pack are usually gone by then because they're not as effective late game. Um and you could get some use out of it, but it's not overpowering because you have a board generally full of beasts where you're not getting all of that. Now that could be if you triple up and get it when you're at 4 and you get a gold. That's a different story. You're buffing cards as you put them on the board, where Goldrin buffs the cards already on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an important distinction between the two. Um, so yeah, it's. I would have liked to have seen that, because now beasts really are in a bad place, because between like a tier 5, they really don't have a whole lot. They have the runt for overkill, which isn't that great.
Yeah, and it was
It
really
was.
only seeing a ton of benefit because Goldrin was at 5 as
Mhm.
well. So when your Macaw would hit, it would hit the Goldrin, and then it would buff, the Dire Horn in a situation where now you actually have a fairly good shot of getting that overkill in order to spawn that extra minion on your board. Where
Mhm.
just, normally chances are you're going to attack and that thing is going to die outright.
And it's a beast that doesn't have a death rattle,
Mm-hmm.
which is vital, because you can only have one beast with a death rattle in the Macaw build, because you don't want it to trigger the wrong thing. So I think that Mama Bear should have been down at tier 5. at like a +4/+4 instead of +5/+5, and then Goldrin moves up to tier 6. Now you are 100% banking on getting those tier 6 minions as soon as possible, which I'm not a huge fan of, but we'll see. You can kind of tell already that, like, beasts are not in a good place. Hydra's in a good place, but that's just because there's so many ways to buff it, and you can put it in with anything. It's an AoE.
Right.
Like, anytime you can have an AoE is a good thing.
So, we got one more minion to talk about. This is a new addition. Technically, it's a new addition. It's similar to what we have seen in the past. It is a new amalgam called the Amalgadon, which is a tier 6 minion, which is every tribe. So this is a battle cry. Actually, I don't know if it's a battle... I don't think it's a battle cry, but basically when you play it, for each minion...
It is a battle cry.
Does it actually say that in the text?
Battle cry for each different minion type you have decked randomly.
So it would actually work with Brandon. But anyways, so for each minion type that you have, you get to adapt this Amalgadon randomly. So it's worth noting that with that, it is also counting the Amalgadon as another tribe as well. So if you have a full Murloc board, minimum, you're going to get 2 adapts at that point in time. So keep that in mind whenever you are using it. And, I've seen a couple of discussions about this. A lot of people aren't too happy with another Amalgam type entering the Battlegrounds. I've seen some people on Reddit commenting that you're not able to use the Anoia module on it more than one time, which I have not been able to test. So
that's probably a bug.
That definitely sounds like a bug. But for the most part, it seems like the adapts here are what you would see from the Megasaur, based off of what I've seen. Because I've seen the Death Rattle that gives you the plant.
It's the same adapts. It's the same adapts that are with the Megasaur.
And it's a bit.
I have choice words about this card.
Okay.
Well, for starters, I'll say this: I love the card. I think it's great. It's the perfect tier 6 card.
It's the perfect thing that works for everything.
Exactly. Like, if you're Murlocs and you're just like, you're only going for one thing, well, now you can have an Amalgadon that will work for you. Or, you know what I mean? Like, here's my issues with it. And I have gotten this in my favor. I have gotten an Amalgadon on tier 4 without a Shifter Xeris.
Through Tess?
Nope. Through Primal Fin Lookout.
Oh, that's right. I remember you mentioned this.
So I golded. I got Primal Fin Lookout. Amalgadon is in the pool for Murlocs. So when you discover a Murloc, they pop up. So you can get this tier 4. Really?
That seems decent.
You can get it from Boat, too. Boat can spawn this because it is a pirate.
Because not enough people are taking the boat, so they keep trying to entice everyone to embrace the meme.
It's awesome that you have it. I do not think you can cheese your way. You should be able to cheese your way into it on tier 4 without like a Shifter Xeris or stealing it from somebody else.
Right.
Just by getting a Primal Fin Lookout, you get it. What now?
Or potentially 2.
Yeah, or potentially 2. So that is why Primal Fin Lookout is ridiculously powerful now.
So not only does it offer you additional ways to earn your triples or to buff your board, now you get an amalgam for your warband.
Yep. So that is something that is a little bit troublesome. Now, granted, this is not going to happen all the time.
Right.
First, you have to gold on tier 4, triple into Primal Fin, have a Murloc on the board and then get the Murloc out of it. But I mean, it's happened to me. Yeah, it's so. But I think it's pretty good. Well, not pretty good. It's really good. It's a really good card. Because you can buff it. However, it's not like when people first saw it, they're like Menagerie. I'm like, it doesn't need to be Menagerie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it works
I mean,
for it.
right? Imagine you get this with pirates, and it gets all the buffs of a pirate, except it has Divine Shield and Poison and Wind Fury on it.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have a pirate with Divine Shield, Wind Fury, and Poison. That's pretty good.
I'm I was trying to see if I could find combat information for this really quick. So in regards to Tavern 6 minions, I want to see how popular this is compared to other Tavern 6 minions.
Fair enough.
And Ed, you will not be surprised by the board popularity of this. It is first.
Shocker.
At 31.3%. Okay. I'm just gonna do the top 4 really quick. So you got Caligos at number 2 at 11.6%. Maxna at 11.5%, and then Nadina at 10.7%. Yeah, that's a marginal differential there between the most popular thing and the second most popular thing.
Yeah, just a little. It doesn't have the same win rates.
It does not.
But it's, Gentle Megasaur is going to win you the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just... And Caligos is going to win you... no, it's going to get you second place in the game if there's Murlocs. Amalgadon is just the smart choice to take. Like, if I'm... Like, Nadina, Caligos, and Megasaur are probably the three... And Dread Admiral Eliza are the three that I'd be like, okay, if I'm running that warband, I'm automatically taking those.
Right.
But if I'm not, I'm insta-picking the Amalgadon.
Or Boat.
I'm taking Amalgadon over Boat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking Amalgadon over everything, really. Zap, Mexna, Full Reaper, Gascoiler, Imp Mama, Kangors. I mean... Depending on the situation. If I'm running all mechs, probably going to take Kangor's Apprentice. If I'm running all demons, probably going to take Imp Mama. But, the general, like, this is the best, non-warband specific card that we probably have in the game.
Yeah, the downside to this is it definitely opens a discussion that we kind of had with the Amalgam in the past, in a sense that, sure, you're able to use it in everything, but at the cost of enabling Murlocs further. So there's always that weird discussion of, is it actually worth it to have something that does affect all tribes as an individual minion? Because it's very great if you are trying to transition, because it can work in just about any build that you would be going for. But it also makes it one of the most sought after, minions within the lobby. In every game.
Yeah. I don't think it's as big of a problem as the old Amalgam was.
Well,
obviously,
because of the tier differential.
Because it's at tier 2. I don't think tier 6 is that bad for this kind of power with a card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it was even tier 5, it'd be too powerful. The fact that you can get a tier 4, though, that's... But, it's for sure something that they're going to watch the power creep on this and see how it becomes. It does suck that it actually gives Murlocs more power by getting it. That does kind of suck.
But it's also the case where, if you're going up against Murloc, and, let's say they have Divine Shield, and you're not finding that, unstable ghoul, at least you have another minion that could potentially combat that.
Yes. In theory.
Yes, it just won't
But
be
then
as
what do you do
effective.
with the other 5 Divine Shield poison
Yeah,
Murlocs
yeah.
they have?
Hope that you cleave the right targets.
All right, fair enough.
And then you lose him because, they have poison too, so yeah.
I still think that they need to get rid of poison out of Adapt. I really think they need to get rid of it. Keep Toxfin. 100% keep Toxfin.
If they do that, I wouldn't be opposed to them allowing Toxfin to double battle cry in different minions. With Brand.
If they allowed it to double battle cry on minions, I think they'd have to bump it up a tier to tier 5.
Yeah.
Putting poison on 2 minions is a little too powerful for tier 4. But I would be fine with it at tier 5. I just think, Divine Shield poison has no counter. Except Divine Shield poison of your own. And then it's just 50-50 who the hell attacks first.
Yeah, because then you run into weird situations where, like, outside of just a mirror, the only thing that could potentially even contest with that would be like a double Nadina type build with Caligos.
Yeah. It's like you would need Ghoul with a golden selfless protector and a Baron.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest are just gigantic effing minions. So that's legit the only way, and that's not easy to pull off. But yeah, they need to do something about Murlocs here soon, because it is like, and even the streams I've watched, because like, again, bored most of the day watching Twitch while I work, I watch a lot of Hearthstone streamers, and all of them are just like, well, Murlocs are gonna win. Murlocs are gonna win. And, that's how you get wins now, is it's whoever forces Murlocs the best.
It's I almost had a game literally just like this, where it was down between me and someone that was running Murlocs as Finley. And I remember messaging you. I was like, oh yeah, it's, down between me and this guy. Oh, he also hasn't lost a single round. He's at 40 health. Going into turn 12. And then, like, the combat phase starts. I had a 60% win rate for that given round. And I was like, oh, he doesn't have Divine Shield. And he doesn't have Poison. I lost that round. Going into the next round, I was like, alright, maybe it was just a bad attack order, Then he got both.
then he got a Megasaur, and then you're like, shit. I went up against one. I think I took like third. This was earlier in the week, and like I went up against him, and I had 25 health, right around there. And I had a pretty decent board. I was running dragons, and I had Caligos. And I'm looking, and we go to fight. Gold Brand, Megasaur on board, and then the rest of the board had every adapt. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna walk away now.
Concede.
Concede. Like, you're seeing more and more, and I've done it. Is if I'm in the final 2 and I'm going up against somebody, and I see that they're Murlocs and they're just wrecking, and I'm not Murlocs, I'll just sell off my whole board. And then just be like, all right, have fun. Like, let's just get this over with as quickly as possible. I'm gonna lose regardless.
Right.
So.
Alright, well, I know it has been multiple weeks since we have blamed a particular neighborhood celestial dragon.
I have one.
In Celestalon. His birthday had hit. We gave him a little bit of a break. but the heat is back on.
It
so,
is on.
okay, Ed. As you know, you and I had been doing some duo games, and I was on my alt account. And our experiences were pretty polarizing. So again, like, this is an account that at the time I had, it was like 4700s at the time when we started.
Yep.
And normally I'm playing around 6500. So, like, when we do our duos, I was like, okay, like, what account do you want me on? Like, do you want to play up, or do you want to play at your level? So, usually if, there's a big differential, I typically will just go on an alt account. That way we play at, like 56, 57, or, like the 5200 range-ish, depending on where you're at, as opposed to playing at, 64 or 6500. So we're like, okay, I'll grab my alt account. So, last night, we played a couple of games. I had an 8th place finish, and then that second game I had a 3rd place, but, like, I've had a couple of 8th place finishes when I've been duo queuing with you. And despite, on this account, playing up to, we'll say, like, 700, 800 rated differential here, every time I'm finishing in 8th place, I am losing a massive amount of rating on this account. Looking at the MMR over time, there have been sequences where I have lost 144 points. The 8th place that preceded that was a minus 133, which dropped me to 5202. But, when I'm winning, I am seeing similar gains. Like, I had that Kalthos game last night where I finished in 3rd. I got 74 rating back. And, the wins have been netting about what I've been losing in regards to the 8th place finishes. But the thing that's very confusing to me is, when you're doing the duo queues, you're not taking an average rating of your group. You're basing it off of whoever is the highest MMR. And if it's basing things off of me being in a lobby that is, 5400 or whatever, I should not be seeing such drastic shifts whenever I'm seeing a bottom 4 finish. Unless it's assuming that maybe there's a hidden MMR where it just knows my main account is 6500. And it's treating this account as so. It's weird. Like, I don't understand why I'm seeing these net losses of 130, 140, and, the only person I can blame is Celeste a lot. Like, what's going on? Because everyone I've talked to, like, they've never outright said, oh yeah, everything is just based off of this for your rating, or how you're matched up against other people, whether it is as an individual or a duo. But something is definitely off when it comes to the net gains and losses on this particular account, for whatever reason.
That's fair to blame Celestalon for that. I have a bone to pick. I called him out on Twitter. he liked my message, so he read it, and he just doesn't care. So let me paint the picture here for you. This is my board. Okay. I have a Begurgle. I have God, what is the horrible with the name? The Murloc. The 1/2 whenever you play a Murloc, gain 1 attack.
The Tide Caller?
Tide Caller. I have a gold Tide Caller at 4625. I have God, why am I so bad at this? Let's see here. I have an old Murkai.
Okay.
I have a gold Rockpool Hunter at 1927. I have a gold War Leader at 1224. And then I have a Falcon Navigator at 8-4, and then a Bran at 2-4. Okay? I have a fairly strong board. it's turn 9, and I just go to tier 5 because I'm like, I'm good. I'm good here. I'm gonna get greedy. Not greedy, but I'm like, I'm gonna go in and try and, level up faster than everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I went up against Eudora. Turn 9. And I do forget exactly what they had. But with that board, turn 9, I got hit for over 30 damage. And they were not, I do remember they were not running poison Murlocs. And I got hit for over 30 damage. And I got knocked out of the game into 7th place. I have like the beginning of like a ridiculously strong Murloc board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with 3 triples at this point.
3 triples that 2 of the triples went into a Burgurgle and a Bran.
Mm-hmm.
And I get knocked from 1st to 7th place. And I'm just like, shit is going on. So I'm like, oh, I was so pissed. Mm-hmm. I was pissed. So that is my blame Celestalon moment, because you know what? Screw off. Still bitter about that. I think it was Pirates that they were running. I think it was Pirates, and they had dug into what did they dig into? They dug into Dread Admiral.
Okay.
So they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And oh my god, it was brutal.
Ouch.
So they were at 5. They got into Dread Admiral, and I forgot they had another super strong card on board. It's kind of like when you injure yourself and you forget the details about it.
Well, you know that
because it hurts you so much. God, that was the worst. So screw you, Celestalon.
Unbelievable.
But also, we love you. And next BlizzCon, I'll buy you a drink. Next one we're actually allowed to go to.
Yeah.
I'll buy you a drink, and I'll let you dye my hair.
You know, that's definitely going to be a funny
he just
conversation.
My skull.
The next, it's going to be so funny the next time I see Celestalon, because every time I hang out with him at BlizzCon, or I head over there to either pick up a friend who's getting their hair done or get my hair dyed. It's always like, oh, you still doing Overwatch content? And I was like, oh yeah, same old. And it's just like, he's watching like Twitch streams of Hearthstone, and he's asking me about Hearthstone. I was like, oh, I dabble here and there, but just like the first, like this next BlizzCon will be the first BlizzCon where we could legit sit down and really discuss about Hearthstone. So I'm looking forward to that whenever that should be, and I'm sure you and I will come up with some sort of parting gift of sorts,
right?
In that regard,
like we get a Celestalon voodoo doll.
That's not a bad idea as long as it's a dragon,
right?
We would almost have to be in that regard. But anyways, that's basically everything that happened this past, honestly, the past 2 weeks. We took this past week off. But a lot of stuff to check out on live servers. Go test out the new heroes. Let us know what you guys think of the new changes and whether or not you are seeing another surplus of Murlocs invading Battlegrounds, as Edinar himself has seen in his games, whereas I have not yet. But I'm sure that is going to change sooner rather than later. But Ed, let's go ahead and close out the show for tonight. So if you guys want to help us out, please do us a favor. Head on over to iTunes and write us a review. Let us know how we're doing, and if there is anything you would like to see us incorporate into the show, We are always looking for ways to improve or just add more Battlegrounds related content, whether it is hero, just general tips, anything like that. We are an open book on that front, so please reach out to us. And if you want to do that, we have a number of ways how you guys can contact us, both as a podcast as well as individuals. So, Ed, please let them know how they can do that.
All right. Well, you can reach us through email at taverntailspodcast@gmail.com. We are on Twitter, and that's at taverntailshs. We do stream live on Twitch at twitch.tv/taverntailshs, live Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. We are on Discord at discord.me/OWLN show. You can find me personally on Twitter, and that's at Edinar83, or on Twitch at twitch.tv/Edinar. Totem, where can they find you at?
Well, I'm also on Twitter, that would be at Totally as well as Twitch at twitch.tv/TotallyDrunk. So, guys, enjoy your games. Good luck in the Battlegrounds, and we'll see you guys back in the Tavern. Hopefully next week. We've kind of been playing things by ear. But, we'll keep you guys updated on that front as well. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.
Peace out.